Hey, this is Kevin Sussman from The Big Bang Theory. Check out my interview on Luby on Siri. Yeah, I started and I didn't know that I was going to be on the show that much when I started. I was just supposed to be on one episode in season 2. And then that role got bigger and they started having me just in scenes in the comic book store. And I think what happened was there was one episode where Penny comes in and she asks me a question, and as she's walking away from the comic book store counter, I said under my breath, and it wasn't in the script, "I love you." And because, originally, I had dated her, and I think it was, I don't know for sure, but I suspect that sort of led the writers to include me, have a bigger storyline at that point. And then there was a certain point when Simon Helberg, who plays Howard, went to space. And so he was in space, and they sort of had me come and live with Mrs. Wolowitz. And that sort of solidified my role as someone who sort of you can't get rid of. I used to work in a comic book store, just coincidentally. Yeah, Chuck Lorre, the creator, did not know this. In fact, he originally wanted me to do the role of Kripke with the Lith, who I knew was a friend of mine. That was also just a weird coincidence. John Bowie, who plays Kripke, but I was not available at that time, and so then he had me come back to do Stewart, and and so that was just an awesome coincidence, because having actually worked at a comic book store, I always felt right at home working at the comic book store. In fact, when I walked around with the clipboard or I was doing inventory or whatever, it helped me. It was liberating in a way, because rather than thinking about trying to act like a guy that works in a comic book store, I could just take inventory. Or sometimes they would ask me, what would you be doing? What's something you could do? And I'd be like, well, I could fold the t-shirts. And they'd be like, yeah, great. And sometimes I would get frustrated with the set, the prop people, I forget what it's called, the people that put the props on the set, because they would put in the back issue comics, the guys are always flipping through the back issue comics, they would put them the wrong way, because they put them in plastic, and they would fold the tape and have it on the top. And having worked at a comic book store, I know how frustrating that is, because when you're jamming the comics back in the bin, they get all messed up, and it's better to just... So sometimes during the show, I would go and be fixing the comics to make it easier to flip through and pull out. And so yes, I had actual geek street creds when I started. I think and it goes back to what I was just saying, I think the main thing is don't try to play a geek, because, whatever geeky thing you're doing, whether it be into whatever D&D or comics or whatever nerd thing you're doing, the thing that sells it is that you're not indicating that you're a geek. It's just you're a normal person that's into a certain type of culture, and I think that's what really sells it is doing not doing a stereotype. I didn't realize it was a vast theory, but the writers definitely were teasing with that aspect. But I don't think that they would. I think they wanted to just leave it vague, like that, on purpose. Yeah, the same. Yeah, I think they like intentionally want you to just wonder, and I feel like they probably were happy with like that's funnier to leave it vague to them rather than to go all the way with